There's Christine now. Yep.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Christine.
Hi. I'm sorry that it took a while to get on. I was trying to finish my lunch.
It's okay.
Oh, how are you guys doing?
By the grace of God, all is well. Spring, it's like spring is here. Soon
Yeah.
summer. It's like, okay, it's hot. Right now I'm like in the 60s. I'm like, oh my goodness, really?
That's awesome.
Yes, so
It
weather's better.
is 59 here right now, but
Oh,
the
that's
high
beautiful.
is 61, and so we're very excited too.
Awesome. So you guys and I was not impacted by the flood at all?
Me?
Yeah, because I heard the Midwest, there's a
Yeah.
lot of floods. Oh my God.
I don't know. We didn't have flooding here, so apparently not.
Good.
I'm not
All
paying
right.
attention to the news. That's terrible, isn't it?
Oh, good. Awesome.
Yeah.
I heard that the Midwest have flooding too.
Yeah. Well, if the Midwest had flooding, it was not where I was at because
That's good.
everything's beautiful here. In fact, I think there was rain, but both my daughter and I yesterday said, "Why is the ground all wet? I don't remember it raining," and so we weren't affected by it apparently.
That's good.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. All right, everybody, give a name and where you're coming from.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. It's working. Last week or the week before it wasn't working. I'm from Victoria, Columbia, in Canada. And yeah, what else?
I don't know. Hi, Darlene. So excited to see you. And
Oh yeah, my name's Darlene.
All right. Who else do we have?
Stephanie from Finland.
Hi, Stephanie from Finland.
I've been sick. I've been so sick again.
You're sick again?
Yeah,
No.
I got some terrible whooping cough or whatever it's called.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Stephanie.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, who else do we have on?
Fair Bonner. Hello.
Hi, Fair. How are you?
I'm well. I'm on spring break, so I'm happy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fair, tell everybody where you're from.
Talladega, Alabama.
Alabama.
So this is maybe like 35 miles east from Birmingham, Alabama.
Cool.
Oh, okay.
Nice. All right, who else do we have on?
Will from Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Hi, Will.
I didn't know you were Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Diane, tell everybody where you're from.
Oh. I'm out west. Oregon.
Oregon. Wow.
That must be beautiful.
It is. Even with all the rain and snow, it stayed. It's some trees are not green, which is in my backyard, but in my front yard, there's evergreen.
Awesome.
Where in Oregon are you from, Diane?
Well, I live in Lebanon, Oregon.
Oh,
If you
okay.
know-
The reason I'm asking
Well,
is I have a daughter that lives in Albany, Oregon.
oh, really?
Yeah.
That's real close.
My grandson, actually, and her family. Well, my daughter's family. So that's why I'm wondering where you're. Yeah, that is close.
Like next town over.
I'll have to try to connect somehow then when I go down at the end of April.
Oh, you're going. Oh, what day in April?
April 27th, I'm going down for 8 days or something.
Yeah. Well, I know April 26th is my granddaughter's birthday, so I'm going up to Washington for the weekend, but I'll be back.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Who else do we have on? Give us your name and where you're coming from.
Hello, everybody. This is Manoush, and I am currently in Utah.
Manoush is in Utah. Yay. Welcome. All right. Who else do we have? Come on, Shibies. All right. If you guys are too shy, I'll just let you sit there and pretend like you're not from anywhere.
I'm Camille from California.
Say that again.
I'm Camille and I'm from California.
Woohoo. JD was laughing. So are you going to tell everybody where you're from?
Oh, okay. I thought I was not included since we started talking.
Oh, come on. It's not just for me, it's for everybody else. This is how we connect.
Okay. All right. I'm Jolanda. I'm from New Jersey. I'm in the Northeast.
We can all tell.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome. Oh, Connie said, hello, everyone from Northeast Philly. Nice.
Yes, an hour away from me.
So close. Have you guys connected in person before?
No, we have not. But yes, it's about an hour. I'm about an hour away from Philly. An hour and a half. It depends where in Philly.
You guys are crazy. You need to get together.
We will. Time permits, we will.
Awesome. Okay, Robert, are you there? No, he's just pretending. Oh, there he is.
Yeah.
Robert, where are you today?
I'm in South Carolina today.
Nice.
I'm home.
Wow. Awesome. How long are you home for?
Like 4 to 5 days, something like that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yay. Awesome. Okay, so I have some fun wins. Can I share some exciting God stuff?
Yes.
Okay. So first thing, remember last week when we were, Erin Michael was sharing about her awesome, God provision that was happening with her trip to New Zealand. Like he said, go to New Zealand. She said, okay, but I don't know how that's going to happen. And then someone showed up and basically said, hey, God told us to pay for your whole thing. And so right after that, I was like, yes, Lord, this is what I need. I need provision for our South Africa trip. So literally, I get off this group and then I have a meeting with this lady. And this meeting that I had with her, it was so funny because she tried to have a meeting with me 2 months ago, and I didn't see that I had it on my calendar. And I feel terrible about it, but it was one of those where she booked in the middle of the night and I just was rushing to get to church, rushing to do my meeting, and then missed that I even had a meeting with her. I didn't get the notification until after. And so I felt like a complete loser, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, and please just book again, and here's a code, you know. And anyway, she didn't get my message, and it was there. She just doesn't check her Facebook very often. So she finally checked it again, sometime, about a week and a half ago. And she went to use that code I gave her, except for that code had expired. And so she then booked another appointment and paid again. And I'm like, oh no, well, I'm glad you booked an appointment, but can we give you your money back, or here's another free one, or whatever, you know? And I just felt, and she's like, no worries, it's fine. And I'm like, oh gosh, now I feel terrible. She double paid for this. And so get on the meeting with her after our group last week. And it was one of those that I was being stretched. Like, do you remember me telling you how God has been really stretching me in the area of the prophetic? I don't know if I've told you this, but basically during my meetings that I have, like my one-on-one times, and we're engaging in heaven, God will show me stuff about people that is weird. And every time it's like, I do not want to say it because it's just too out there. And then he kind of forces me to say it. Okay, he never forces me, but basically urges me until I do it. And so then I say it, and then I'm shocked that it makes sense to them. Okay, so hey, everybody, I'm going to mute everybody out, but you can unmute anytime, okay? Just I'm going to get rid of background noise. Okay, so anyway, this one was it was the best, but it was the worst. It was the worst for me stepping out of my comfort zone, but it was the best in terms of God really used it, right? So we're engaging over her business, and she's in this really important transition time in her business where she's having to meet with these lawyers and doing these contracts and stuff, and it's a big deal. And she needed to meet with me like immediately to make sure that she could she needed to go to the court of strategies, and she wasn't sure how to do that, but she knew God was saying to do that. So anyway, we went, and God was showing me this whole thing on our blueprint and all sorts of stuff. And he would show me about the outside of her land, and then showing me about this certain entrance in her place. And these are things that I'm stepping way out because I don't know what this place looks like. But I'm like, well, he's showing me it's this really long building, and then there's this one side that people need to come into and the other side not. And she's like, oh my goodness, this makes so much sense. And I'm thinking, there's no way any of this is going to make sense to her, you know? And so finally, I was telling Camille about this. She's having to hear the story again. The last thing he shows me is like really making me step out on faith, because he shows me this big giant who's a baby, and this big giant baby, she's feeding him grapes. And then when she stops feeding this big giant baby grapes, he starts throwing a fit and whining and crying. And so she feeds him again. And God said, tell her to keep the big fat baby fat and happy. And I'm like, I am not saying this. Okay, that's crazy. This is a crazy vision. This cannot be, this has to be my wild imagination or something. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to say that. And he keeps showing it to me and won't let up. And so finally I'm like, all right, I have no idea how this can make any sense to you, but I'm really hoping somehow you could just press into the Lord and he'll show you. And I told her about the big fat giant baby and how she's supposed to feed him grapes and how she's supposed to keep him fat and happy. And she said, oh my gosh, I know exactly what that's about. And I'm like, really? And she said, well, I've been shown that the person that this giant is basically the owner of the land, who she's been shown is like a giant in the land, okay? And so I didn't know she'd been shown that he's this giant in the land, but he's the one who has been kind of making all of this go awry with the contract stuff and everything that we were engaging about. And she said that he just acts like a baby all the time, just throwing a fit all the time. But she's noticed that there have been 2 times where she called his favorite place he buys wine and asks them to send him his favorite wine. And every time she's done that, he's just done whatever she wanted him to do and just acted like he was totally satisfied with her. And when she hasn't done that, he's throwing fits like a big baby. And so she goes, God's really revealing that I need to keep sending him this wine. And so anyway, didn't make any sense to me and somehow made perfect sense to her. And so anyway, it was a great time. And at the very end, God said to me, you need to ask her to sow into your South Africa trip. And I'm like, no way. Okay, she's double paid for this thing. You know, there's no way I can ask her out of everybody to do this, because I never ask for that from people, especially in private. You know, I'm having a private one-on-one time with them. She's double paid for this session already, but the Lord just kept saying, if you don't do that, you're not going to reap the blessings. You have to do it. And so finally I said, hey, I never do this with anybody, but God keeps telling me to do this, so I have to do it. And I told her a little about the South Africa trip, and I said, God's asking me to ask you to sow into it. And I said, just pray about it, whatever he says to do. I don't care how much it is, just that I'm trying to be obedient. And here I am, by the way, I'm crying because I'm such a wuss about asking for things. And so she just goes, absolutely, yes. And I'm like, really? And she said, that's what this whole business is for. I wanted to go into full-time ministry, but God said, no, you need to have this veterinary business because it's going to fund my kingdom. And so she every week goes, where can I sow into? What am I supposed to do, God? Who can I pour in kingdom finances? And she said that that's exactly what she does. And she knows if her business isn't going well, she needs to sow more money. And so anyway, I was like, wow, nobody gets that. I was shocked because hardly anybody functions with like a real kingdom mindset when it comes to business like that. And so I was blown away by that. And I called Lisa because Lisa's coming to South Africa too. Hi, Lisa. And and I don't know if I called her or did I call you, text you? I don't know, but I was excited. And I did the same with my sister, and I said, I don't know how much she's given, but I'm just so excited that she was willing and that God moved like that. And then later that night, I got a message from my brother-in-law saying, hey, do you know who this like Wellness for Animals person is? Because I guess she did it under her business name. And I'm like, oh yeah, I just talked to her today, and she's supposed to sow into our South Africa trip. And he goes, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I'm like, I'm just really curious, how much does she give? And so this is me. And he goes, $1,500. And I'm like, no way. And so anyway, that was a huge portion of what we needed to raise for our trip. And then I went to the next day, Lisa and Kim. Lisa, I'm going to tell you part of your story about your job and what they did, okay, because I'm so excited. Anyway, Kim and Lisa both had to ask off for the days. So we knew we were supposed to go, but of course, jobs always have to say yes. And so Lisa, one of the things that for her, it made a big difference because she was going to have to take time off without pay. And so it was really going to cost her family a lot of money to do it. And so beyond what we had already raised for the trip. And so anyway, Kim and Lisa both asked off. Both of their businesses said, yes, go. Kim was shocked because there's some lady who's taking maternity leave and she thought they would say no. Well, they said yes, we're really supportive. Lisa's job said, hey, let's work it to where you can use sick days instead and work a little overtime over here to where you won't have to lose any money at all. And so it was amazing. And so that really reduced a lot of the cost. And then I went to buy tickets, which I'd already been looking at tickets a lot, like trying to find the right combinations to get the cheapest. And I went to buy tickets, and we got it for less than I thought, plus including insurance that I forgot to even factor in, because you have to have travel insurance and stuff most of the time. And so anyway, both of these things, we got it for even less. So that took our cost even further down. And so anyway, now it's like way less than we thought and that we have to have by the time we go. And so anyway, it was a huge God thing. And I just thought it was so cool. Like right after I asked, God provided, it was immediate. And we're thinking, what is our strategy? How can we do this fundraising? And God's just like, I told you. Remember, somebody in this group said, if it's his will, it's his bill. And so I say yes. So anyway, I was all excited about that. I had to share because we were just talking about that right before in our group last week. And then one other thing I wanted to share was about Purim. And so as a lot of you know, we've talked about this. God has been moving my family into celebrating the feasts, right? And it's not been easy for me because, one, I forget to do the research about when it is, so I miss it half the time. Not all the time. The Lord has been bringing the feast to me when I'm not even paying attention to it, which is cool. But this last one, I knew that Passover was coming up. By the way, JD, we got tickets. I don't know if you're coming or not, but I hope so. Anyway, Lisa's coming with us to the Passover thing at House of David in Oklahoma. And man, so I was getting excited about that, and I'm like, okay, I better pay attention to when the other feasts are. So I'm looking it up again. I'm like, oh no, Purim's like next week. And except for it was on Thursday. But anyway, but I was, oh, it's coming. And so I decided, all right, I better do some research. What is Purim even about? I don't even know how to say it. Didn't know. I'm like, is it Purim? Is it, whatever. And so I look up all the stuff about Purim, and it's just the most fun holiday. I mean, the coolest feast, especially with my kids. Okay, so my kids have missed all the pagan stuff. Not really missed the pagan things, but this celebrations that go around it, like dressing up for Halloween and giving gifts at Christmas and stuff. And so it's cool that Purim actually puts both of those in it. So you dress up in costume and you give gifts and all of this stuff. And anyway, it was a lot of fun. And so I decided, okay, we're celebrating. And I called my sister and I said, hey, do you want to do it too? And she's like, yeah. And I said, well, let's just do it at the source and see if anybody else wants to join in. Well, I was shocked at how many people were so excited about it. They all came, and we had this great celebration. It was so much fun, and it was just absolutely focused on the Lord, but such a joy. And what I really noticed was everybody who was there, it has carried over into their life. Like, we gathered today at the source for our disciple community, and it had gotten to where people were there, but it wasn't really that much joy, that sort of thing. But I'll tell you, today was a totally different story. Just everybody was so excited about how Purim was and what God was doing in their families. And anyway, it was a real big blessing. And so I just wanted to share that how God has been working through the feasts and has been turning everything around over in this part of the world and bringing everybody kind of back to what it's supposed to be like, because he talked about this so much in the Bible. And my sister brought up a really good verse today. I wish I could remember where it's at, but I can't. I know that it had to do with how we are grafted in. We're grafted into the family, the Jews, basically, right? And then also at the end of Esther, it talks about how everyone, all of the Jews and their descendants, and anyone who will join them, should keep this feast until forever, right? And I was really, when she said that, I was like, we've joined them, we've been grafted in. And so it's for us. And so I just really, that resonated with me today. And I just thought, wow, I get it, And so the Lord slowly but surely inching me closer and closer to him and everything. And it was so powerful to see that when I experienced that the feasts were still happening in heaven, that just switched my whole mindset, because I thought that they were just supposed to continue like until the end of the earth or something. But I didn't really understand that they were eternally happening. Like they're actually not ending at all in heaven or anything. And so that has been really cool to see. Oh, JD said, I didn't hear from you, so I didn't get a ticket. Oh, I responded to you on Facebook, but I saw that you didn't see it. Darn it. Well, next time. Diane said, so awesome. Do you have to get shots? Well, that depends on who you ask. But no, I'm not getting shots. I was talking to Camille. I'm a weird anti-vaxxer. Hate me if you want, but that is me, and there's no way I'm getting shots to go to another country. So, yep. I used to do that when I was younger, but I don't do that anymore. So, Camille said, I'm with you. Thanks. Anyway, I'm not here to debate vaccinations, by the way. Not doing it. All these people get crazy about it. Connie said, our church is doing a Passover Seder as well. Yay. That's fun. You have to share how it goes, because I'm excited to hear how everybody is celebrating and what the Lord does through that. I think it's just so powerful. It really is. God knows exactly what we need. And I really like how all the feasts are so different in their focus. Like some are really focused on joy and celebrating the sweetness of God. And then others are focused on introspection and on how to really, I guess, kind of be mourning your sin, if you know what I mean. But all of them throughout the year have such a different focus that it kind of is like the completion of what our relationship's supposed to be like, with all the different parts. And not just one thing, not one kind of way of having a relationship. So I thought that was cool. Will says, we don't vaccinate either. Okay, your family too, I guess. I'm just kidding. Okay. JD said, are you attending the first one or the second one? The second one. When we went to buy tickets, the first one was already sold out. Yeah. I don't know if it still is, but yeah. Okay, anybody have anything that they'd like to share about their relationship with the Lord this last week? Any good things or crazy things or struggles, anything like that?
Last weekend we went to a conference in Nashville with Justin Paul Abraham, Paul Keith Davis, and Ray Hughes. That was incredible. I mean, it was so good.
Give us some nuggets.
What was amazing to me was how in line with each other they were. It was like so much honor.
Mm-hmm.
And the other cool thing was Ray Hughes has a lot of history with Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And he shared stuff that we had never heard before about Nashville, about what Nashville was called for. And it moved me to tears. It was just so amazing. God's plan for Nashville. And some of the people that were called before, and where Nashville was called Music City, but really has nothing to do with country music.
I did not know that. What is it about?
It was actually about the freedom of the slaves.
Huh.
And that music that came out of that.
That's cool.
You know, emancipation.
And it was called that by the Queen of England.
Yeah, it was called Music City by the Queen of England.
Wow.
After she heard them sing, they actually brought some of them over there and they sang, and she was just like, you know, where are you from? And so it's always just been Music City, and the history of Ryman Auditorium, you know, which is considered the church of, well, they consider the church of country music, but actually it was actually built for a place to worship and have meetings for a I can't remember his name right now, but he was a
Very humble.
yeah, very, very humble man of God that just he brought a lot of change to Nashville. And it was pretty obvious that God was in what he was doing, and so Samuel Porter Jones was his name, and so they originally had gotten a big tent, and because that's what he had asked for when he was coming there, and they're like, you're not going to get 5,000 people. And but when he came, they actually had 10,000 more.
They had 15,000.
Yeah, 15,000 people that showed up.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was so beautiful. And then also there's the history of the call with Lou Engle, 2007, where they came and they had about 16,000 people marching down Church Street in Nashville. Repenting for the sins of the city and asking for God's Spirit to fall on Nashville. And I spent about 4 years working in Nashville, and let me tell you, there's more Spirit-filled churches there than any place I've ever been. And my wife and I, we were like, man, what is it about Nashville? I mean,
yeah, we have nothing like that here in the Chattanooga area.
Yeah. And Lou Engle came to a IRIS conference back, what was that, 2012?
Yeah.
And he kind of told that story, and all of a sudden it was like a light bulb moment. It was like, that's what it was.
These people opened the way.
These people opened the way. They opened heavens. And that is why there's so many Spirit-filled churches in the Nashville area.
But that's who it was named after. The captain was in that audience.
Oh.
The riverboat guy.
Oh yeah, there's this riverboat guy who was like he was over the gambling and
the prostitution.
And the prostitution and the booze and everything, and he was like totally against. I'm sorry, I'm kind of going backwards here, but he was totally against that guy coming. And
but that's who Ryman.
Captain
Tom Ryman.
Yeah, Captain Tom Ryman. That's where Ryman Auditorium got its name. And but he was, he was going to have it out with this, little upstart preacher guy. And
he got whacked.
He got whacked. He came in, he's going up to tell him what's what. And
beat him up. He was actually
going to beat
physically.
him up. And he got whacked, and was never the same.
Yeah.
How funny. That's so cool.
And so he's the one who gave the money
for Ryman
Auditorium so that this guy
could come back
and they would have a place, for him to preach. And
wow.
He turned all his saloons into churches and put ministry students on all of his riverboats.
That is awesome.
Yeah, he was a riverboat captain.
Yeah.
And and basically had them get rid of the prostitution on the boats, and they threw out barrels and barrels of
they said
of whiskey, and
you could have gotten drunk in the river because they threw out so many barrels of whiskey in the river.
That's crazy.
So we never heard any of this.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
This Ray Hughes is quite the storyteller. If you ever get a chance to see him or hear him, it was so good.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, and then Justin Abraham, of course, was amazing. And it was just all this is available for everyone, for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have a title. You don't have to have a seminary degree. What we need to be doing is each of us, like what we're doing, is going up.
Yep.
It's connection to heaven and bringing it back down here.
Yeah. That was one of the main themes, was that it's about relationship and connection. And
yeah, it's all about relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's really awesome.
The feel there was so good. I mean, it was like everyone.
Nobody wanted to leave.
Everyone was on the same page.
Yeah.
And we had, I don't know how many people there.
Several, probably 300 or more.
Yeah, 300 or more people, and it was just wow.
That's awesome. That's cool. Well, remember I talked about in September we went to South Africa, and we went on this big mission with basically just God telling us where we need to go, what we need to do. And we were so blown away by all that he did with changing the country and reconciling people and all this stuff. Well, when we went there, I was doing a couple conferences, but that was really the side note, It wasn't the real reason for going. It was really what God was telling us to do in the land and all of that. But I just found out from them, the lady in Sasolburg is this really, I don't know how big it is, but it's not a big city, okay? It's like a pretty small city, large town, okay? So it's not that big. But the place that we did our first conference was there, and we had, I don't know how many people, Lisa, do you remember, like a couple hundred or something people show up? I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't that big, but it was a decent crowd for that area for sure. And anyway, we did it in a Methodist church, which was also awesome. But when we were there, a lot of manifestations happened, a lot of really people growing and coming up higher. It was about everybody being able to understand exactly what you were saying, that it's for everybody, that this is something that God wants for everyone. And anyway, I was talking to the lady who she hosted us last time, because she's going to be hosting us this time. And she was like, you would not believe what has happened in Sasolburg since then. And it's really cool to watch, because it's not anything that has to do with us, you know, it's
Yeah.
all God. And she said that this town, it's like, it's all about love. Everything is about love now. And the whole town is totally transformed. And people are starting to find their, like, who they are in the Lord and their calling, and they're doing these things that they've never even thought of doing before, that are serving each other and all of this stuff. And so many people are leading each other into the heavenly realms. So it's like spreading like wildfire in this town. And all of these pastors meet together every month or every, I don't know, couple weeks now. And she said that she was sitting in a coffee shop where the pastors were all meeting, and she was at another table, and she couldn't help but overhear all of these pastors talking about going into the heavenly realms together. And so it's just really cool to see how everybody's coming together with the spirit of unity, and not about denomination or anything. And it's just about everybody going together. And anyway, I was just really blown away by that, to hear all of the awesome stories and how things are changing. And it's just really cool to see, and how they've all started forming kingdom government. And, you know, they're having kingdom government in all that they're doing, which is so cool to see, because, you know, most people are kind of by themselves engaging in heaven, and then aren't really partnering with anyone to do kingdom government. And so it's really, before we even went there, they had already formed, there were 3 pastors, a Methodist pastor, a Baptist pastor, and then like one of a non-denominational called Kingdom Life or something. And anyway, they formed a bench of 3 over the town. And they started out with kingdom government, and this was before we got there. Note, there was the lady who was our host. She was the first one in the town who really did any kind of engaging. And it was because she came across one of my teachings, and she was messaging me, and I thought she was being rude. You know how people go, where's the scripture for that? Okay, people do that. And so I thought she was being like that, but instead she was just asking a real question. And so so I was like, it's not always about the scriptures. You got to seek Jesus, blah, blah, blah. And I just gave her like this whole sermon because I thought she was being rude. And but what she did was she took every word I said and just flew in the faith, because she's like, yeah, I just got to seek Jesus and ask him to show me what about this. And so she did, and she started engaging and just having total life change herself. And then she was having such amazing experiences. She told me, she sent me a message and said, I had to go to my pastor and finally just tell him everything. And I was like, oh dear, what is going to happen? And and instead he was like, wow, I've been doing this too, but I didn't think anyone else was out there. And so they got to partner together. And so anyway, he was one of the pastors who then formed a bench of 3 before we even got there.
So awesome.
I know, it's so cool. And so anyway, now they're affecting way more than just their town. It's spreading even further. They have a ministry that they do once a week where they're encouraging. They have this discipleship blueprint, and it's just awesome. I mean, we can learn a lot from them, you know, just how they're so pure. And one of the things that I keep feeling about that town is how, okay, so Audrey, the lady who is our host, she said, I'm just so blown away that God would choose our town to send you guys to. Like, why would he do that? And it just feels like, you know, the Jesus in a manger kind of story. Like, they're the ones who are truly humble and are seeking with a pure heart. It's not that they have the big names, you know, nothing like that. It's just God saying, I want to bring you guys, the unexpected ones, the ones. I've had people go, why are you going to Sasselberg? And I'm like, that's what God says, you know. And it's because that is just what he's chosen. And so anyway, I just get excited about it. And I felt like it's the same sort of story, you know, where God is moving and people are all going, we can all have this relationship. It's not just the uber spiritual ones or the ones with the degrees. It's everybody, you know, and he's the one who grows us up. Anyway. Yes.
You know, the one thing with IHOP that they do every December, basically, how they changed it this last year.
I don't know how they changed it.
They changed it.
They didn't list them.
They didn't list anybody. They didn't list who was doing worship. They didn't list speakers. But, you know, we're just going after God's heart.
That's
and I was like, yes. You know, stop with the people worship. You know, that's what they were doing.
Awesome. I love that.
And I was like, yeah, that's so good. So
that's cool. That's what it's about. Darlene, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hi.
So last week I bought a really heavy kind of blanket, and I like to wash it before I use it. So it's too heavy for the washer that I have here, so I went to the laundromat to wash it. And I'm just kind of standing around trying to get it done because it was getting close to closing the laundromat. And this lady comes up to me, and she just starts talking to me and saying her father's dying and asked me what I know, essentially about death and all that. So anyway, I had a chance to share with her about how Father God is love. And I went through with her what Jesus did, you know, how he walked on water, he walked through walls, he read people's thoughts. And I said, we have that same, as a son or daughter of God, you have the same ability to do that. And it's all about relationship. It's all about love. And when I said that, she was just like, yeah, it's all about love. She was really into that. And then I started sharing with her that I've been entering into the courts of heaven. She was like, wow, what's that? So I shared with her a lot of what we're doing here. And she was so interested, and also referred her to listen to Justin Abraham. And so we had quite a conversation, and then she left to go and sit with or do the laundry with her male friend. But I could tell, I had a sense as she walked away that she had become so full that she couldn't handle it anymore. She had to go and walk away and just share with what I shared with her with, I don't know if it's her father or I don't know. But anyway, she mentioned to me that she was just sharing with him what I'd shared with her. So it's just like the Lord has just been opening more doors for me to share his love, you know, just to begin to open my mouth and begin to pray for people. So it's exciting. It's exciting what he's doing, just to open doors. And maybe I'll see her again, but you know, it's just, she was just drawn to me when I was in there. And instead of questioning it, instead of asking, you know, why is she coming to me? It's just saying it's just the love of God, right?
That's so cool. I love that. You know, I feel like God puts a lot of people in our paths. He does it every day. And if we are focused on ourselves, then we'll miss every opportunity, you know. But if we're focused really on him and what he's doing, it's amazing how many opportunities he'll give us, you know, all throughout the day to just be able to pour out love. I mean, even me, I'm at home a lot, not all the time, but probably half the days I'm at home because I am a homeschool mom, right? And it's amazing the opportunities I have talking to people either on the phone or even just pouring into my kids and talking to them about things and really seeing where the heart of God is in each interaction. And half the time I'm not paying attention to it, you know, and so then I miss it. But the other half of the time that I'm actually paying attention, it's awesome. And, every time we can have these amazing experiences if we're just focused right, And so I was talking today about how important I feel it is to try to focus every day at the beginning of my day to be able to actually pay attention. Because if I don't, then I'm not paying attention, and I'm just like, oh, what else do I have to do today? Better get those stupid dishes done or whatever, and it's not about the Lord. But if I am focusing intentionally, then things shift, and it's like all of a sudden, it's the same like when we focus on angels, they actually start manifesting. It's the same with everything we do. If we focus on God, where do you want me to sow? Where do you want me to focus? Where do you want me to pour out love? Then he'll just bring them immediately, It's so cool. But anyway, I love that, Darlene. Great story. Great encouragement. I see that Darlene said earlier, I saw Erin Michael at the Seattle Revival Center a few days ago on SRC Live. She was drunk in the spirit. That's where Justin Abraham went after that. And so, yes, it's true. She was there. Then she's been in Olympia with him too. Oh my goodness, it's so funny. Well, I know that we don't have to get around the big names to be able to experience that stuff. We just have to get around the one big name, and that's what we often are neglecting. And so we just like a conference, it makes us intentional, and it sets apart time that we can do that. But we need to set apart time in our own life if we're not actually doing it all the time. That has to be really important. Will, go ahead.
Matters what we do after.
I think, like with these conferences and stuff, I mean, yeah, it's great to hear the speakers and learn from them. But I think the bigger thing for us is the connections that we make. With family, with like-minded people, who are trying to walk the same journey. And I think for a lot of us, we felt very isolated or insulated, however you want to look at it. But it's like, we want community, and that's one of the great things about these conferences. It's like we're connecting with people that we never even knew, were around, and I mean, we connected with some amazing people up in Nashville. And
from our area that we didn't know we're into.
Yeah, from our area who we didn't even know, we're walking in this. And if we hadn't gone to the conference, we still wouldn't know. So God is bringing his body together.
It's true. What I think has been really amazing, even this has happened a few times in my intro classes. People have gotten connected when they didn't even know. I don't know if I think I've told a couple of you this, but there was one time where these two ladies found out, because I always make everybody say who they are, where they're coming in from. Everybody gets annoyed with me, but it's for a reason. It's for a reason. It's for the connection reason. So yeah. These two ladies found out they're from the same town in Canada. And so they were so excited. So they connected, found out they even go to the same church, and they didn't even know it. And so they got to connect over heavenly stuff and all of that. Well, then I had, in this last class that I did, I had two ladies who were from the same area in South Africa, in Cape Town. And they both were feeling, actually, I feel like they have a similar story to you, Will, where you guys have had to kind of step away from the church to really focus on God, right? And you've gotten kind of isolated in that. Maybe you're not still, but you were at one time. And both of these ladies were just desperate for some sort of fellowship. Their family was, their whole family was desperate for some sort of fellowship. And then they met on my class, realized they were both from South Africa, both from the same city, but it's a big place. And then they ran into each other at their kids' school and found out their kids are in the same class. How funny is that? And so they meet on this random American woman's class and don't even know that their sons are in the same kindergarten class. So crazy. And so anyway, I feel like it's absolutely God. It's like he's saying, hey, I'm not going to keep you isolated. I'm going to connect you. It's not going to be normal, but I'm going to do it,
Yeah.
That's cool.
And that's what we found as we actually started putting on conferences even, is like, we have connections now that we never had before, just by being obedient and stepping out.
That's so cool.
What we were called to do.
I love it.
Even though it was stretching the heck out of us.
It always happens like that. Yes. Okay, Stephanie, go ahead.
Okay.
There you go. Yes.
I don't know where to start. There's been so much again. I've been sick all week, and then, but because I'm here all the time homesick, and I really asked God, come on, what is it? Why am I sick all the time?
Yeah.
And then he said, just to heal the heart, he said, I want to heal your heart, because there's been too much going on, outside, and he keeps me. It's a way of him keeping me inside, because otherwise I run out. But anyway, God took me really, really deep, in visions. We were praying with my friend. I have a friend in America we pray with. And he took in a whole deep level, in seeing things. I don't even know how to explain this. A deep intercession. Mm-hmm. And I saw inside the earth, and there was this dragon waving his tail, and so my friend said it's the enemy, and the dragon wants to take the people into hell. And then my friend was saying the enemy wants to make earthquakes before revival. And then I saw Jesus coming with a sword and cutting the head of the dragon. That's really crazy. It was wild. And today I was sleeping, and I saw, I don't know what all this means. And today I was sleeping, and I saw everything was underwater. There was bridges. I was in a helicopter. I was flying somewhere, and just saying, look, everything's under the water. There was bridges. You could see bridges. That there was there was just water everywhere. I don't even know what it means. I was just what was that? And John Fenn, he was here. I don't know, he's from America. Because Finland is very special.
You're muted. You're muted. Stephanie.
Now it's okay?
Well, okay, it was. Now you're muted again. You're muted. Okay, let me help.
Okay, now it's better?
Yes. There you go.
I don't know what to press. Anyway, John Fenn, he was here. John Fenn, he's how you call it? He's from America, and he leads supernatural house churches.
Okay.
And and he said about Finland here that there are so many fires, and because people here have gotten hurt by churches, and everybody is scattered, and nobody is anywhere, and everybody's a little bit isolated, and so so he said that he saw like in this land is so many fires, and people don't even know each other, like and he was trying to tell people like to connect with each other. So yeah, you might have a neighbor where there's another fire and you just don't know about it. And like here where I live, God has put people around me. Like there's 2 girls from Estonia who are like, they carry fire, like they are doing flagging and these things, and they live just 2 houses from me. Like God has surrounded people who have carry God's fire.
That's awesome.
Like, but like many people don't know each other. Like God wants to connect, like through house churches. Like John said, that it's through the house churches that that they should connect with each other, so that they are not isolated.
That's cool.
But I don't know that dragon thing. If somebody can explain the vision, it's good. I was like, oh my God. You don't have to go to movies.
That's very true. Almost every time when the Lord gives you a vision about a dragon, and especially when he's chopping off the hair, is that what you said? The hair?
Head.
The head. Okay, that makes more sense to me. Anyway, I mean, that's almost always a big leader demon of some sort who is a dragon, if he's doing that. And so the good news is that's what you were seeing was the victory. And so, yeah, remember that. Look, did you see Will do that again, buddy? Yes, like that. Anyway, yeah, so that's good. Everything that you were seeing that was a good thing. And especially, I feel like, and I think you know this, the Lord has given you a real mandate for that whole area. For even the other day when you said the Mediterranean, I really feel like he's given you that whole area, the land, to really pray over, to govern over, and you're seeing real things be able to be cut off in the spirit. And he's trying to show you, I think, the victory, because I know you have a tendency to get down about a lot of, especially how much you're getting hit all the time. You have attacked a lot. And so he's trying to show you, hey, look, I've got the victory. I'm doing it. It's happening. And so it's an encouragement for you to keep on doing what you're doing, even when it's hard. And how he's showing you, pressing into his heart and showing that he is healing your heart. And all of that's happening, just keep basking in him, and especially really focus on basking in the living water with him, because that's going to bring your body healing. It's going to really just bring you that intimacy and that closeness that you need with the Lord to bring that to fruition, I feel like. So anyway,
I'm just laying here and I feel this anointing all the time. Like, I can't get out of here.
That's good. That's good.
You feel a very strong and like this water, like refreshing.
Yes.
Kind of like you feel God is preparing. Like, but he shows me the outcome.
Yes.
Like it's been so heavy. Today my father called me shouting, screaming, and he was upset because his friend in Germany died, and from cancer, and he was 70 years old, and his whole family is devastated. And he's like, so show me, where is God now? Look, why he didn't help. And he was like mad and angry and lashing out. And I'm like, oh, I'm sick, like, leave me alone. Because he just wants to argue, whatever I say that God is like this or that, he will just like say the opposite. So it's no point for me to talk with him. He needs somebody else.
He might need someone else. Just
I've been praying.
lay him before the Lord and let the Lord deal with him, because there's a point where we can't say anything, and especially with that kind of bitterness, it has to come with God intervening and showing him the hard and good truth. You know what I mean? And it can't come from you. It's not going to work from his daughter. I know that. I mean, not at this point. And there may be a time where that changes. But right now, lay him before the Lord and just, I hope you aren't entertaining those arguments, because I feel like the enemy will continue to use that to try to cut you down. And so just be like, hey, I'm not going to talk about this stuff with you, Dad. I love you, but I'm not arguing about
today
God.
I had to draw like this girl she has this young girl Nadia who has a high call, but she's very heavy, you know, and she was like demanding me, you have to talk to my mom and you have to tell my mom to tell her this and that. And I said, no, you're not gonna put the words in my mouth, you know, like she gets mad basically if I don't do exactly what I tell her when, like this you know, controlling spirit. Leviathan, whatever.
Yes.
And I had to draw the boundaries on her. Like she has never, I don't think she's ever heard the word no. Like that's what the problem here is with the Finnish. Like the young ones, because in Greece they are trained, they are kind of like more nice. Like the youngsters are like, young people are trained to be like polite, but Finnish people are not. Like they are just like coming on your face and they think they know it all better. I have seen it since I'm 10 years in Finland with the young youth. It's just out of balance. And she's like screaming and shouting and demanding, and she's like, we're not friends anymore. And she takes me off Facebook. She bangs down the phone, and I'm like, I'm not going to talk to you today. I'm sick and I have fever. And so, you know, God is with you. Like I just left her to God, and then she sends a message saying, well,
that's definitely controlling spirit there.
Yeah.
That's
very.
Spirit, yeah.
To deal with.
Will,
her mom can't take anymore.
Stephanie, am I right?
Pardon?
Huh?
I said, Will, I saw you had a word for Stephanie. Am I right?
I had a word for Stephanie.
I thought you did. You were like raising your hand like you did. Maybe you were just raising your hand to strengthen.
Well, I mean, I was raised with a very controlling mother, and very oppressive, very oppressive spirit, and
it takes time.
Definitely tough, especially when it's family.
Yeah, my father's like that. He's German, and he wants to fix me. He wants to fix me, but I have learned with God to draw the boundaries,
right,
and to give it to God, because otherwise He will put me in pieces.
Have you considered going into the courts on his behalf? Maybe not on his behalf, but even to say, hey, God, this is what's happening, and I feel like the enemy's attached to this, because I think that there's some sort of spirit that is trying to come against you. And I don't know if it is just a bloodline thing, but probably because of your dad. And so if I were you, I'd maybe consider going into the courts and trying to deal with that.
We did something like that. I don't know if it was the courts. I don't know how to do it yet. Like, I kind of don't know how to do it. I just go in the spirit, and then God kind of shows you. But I saw something like, we prayed with my friend, and we prayed about his girlfriend, and I saw I was binding this, behind him was the spirit of Baal. You know, I saw that demon, because I see everything. I see them in the spirit, and then they just have to go. And now that spirit is angry because, you know, I see it. And we were also like breaking something on my father in the spirit. Like we were engaging in heaven, and then I don't know. Maybe I'll have to try. I'm not sure. I don't know how to do it yet. So.
Well, two things. First of all, just ask the Lord to lead you if that's what you're supposed to do. He'll lead you into it if it's what wants to happen. And I have a YouTube like mobile courts activation where I just help kind of lead the way, and Holy Spirit does the rest. And so, okay, not that anyone needs my help. He doesn't need my help. But a lot of people like using that to just kind of get in, okay, yes, I need to engage in my marriage covenant with Jesus. Yes, I'm standing under his blood for, that sort of thing. And to kind of know what to do. And then you'll just listen to the accusations at the right time and, that sort of thing. So I can send that to you. It might be helpful to walk you through it.
Okay.
But for sure, just let the Holy Spirit lead, and Jesus he's your advocate, he's your lawyer, so he gets to do the heavy lifting, not you. That's the cool thing,
I have been waiting that God just changes him, that he needs an encounter.
Yeah.
And the only thing that God can do is like to do that. Like also with this person in Greece, God showed me that because there's nothing I can do. But the only way to do it, that God showed me, he will give him an encounter that he will see in the spirit, and then things will shift. Like he showed me an outcome. My father kind of needs the same. He needs to encounter. He will not listen, at least not to me, and I'm not going to try anymore. Like
I'm with you.
He likes to call me, and he puts his anger like.
Yes, absolutely.
I think sometimes the most helpful thing it can be just to place him in your heart, and then just go spend time with the Father. You need to forgive, to just spend time hugging Jesus or the Father. Do a heart-to-heart hug.
Okay.
I mean, it's once you do that, man, it's a beautiful thing. It's so good, and it brings you so much peace and joy.
Yeah,
that's good.
And I was also thinking, my wife, Kimberly, she lost 2 nieces. Very close together, and they were both in their early 20s. And she was having a hard time with that. And but during worship, Daddy God took her up, and she was able to see them with Father interacting, and to see how it was just beautiful. It was just they were just looking at his face with such contentment and adoration, and they looked in so much peace and joy and love that she was just like, oh, okay, they're okay.
Yeah, it's comforting.
Yeah, it was very comforting to her.
After my mom died in 2011, I saw, because she had 3 abortions, and I saw her, and like before she was 10, all her children, like brothers died. Her brothers and sisters drowned. So God showed me, Jesus showed me in heaven that she was dancing with all of them, children, after she died.
That's wonderful.
Like, it was very comforting.
That's cool.
And then it took the pain away. Like after it was like a week after she died, and then I was like happy. Like very, very quickly.
Yeah, we had twins that we lost during the first trimester. At the end of the first trimester, and two little girls, and I mean, I just never thought about this being possible. But again, Kimberly, well, you want to tell it? Yeah, hold on a second.
And also, my mom passed away in 2009, and she was like my best friend. And
okay.
That was really tough. But God, I'd asked several times if I could see her, and he just kind of never responded. And so I thought, well, maybe she's not there. Although I couldn't see that. But just all of a sudden he took me to my place up there, wanted to show me a place he was preparing for me, and she was sitting on the front porch.
Wow, nice.
And told me that she was planting, roses in my garden behind the house, and she showed me irises in front that she'd planted, and things like that. So I got to spend some time with her there, but then I was with Jesus another time, and we were just walking, like through the woods, and we came to an opening, and there were a lot of other people there, some big trees and grass and so forth. And off in the distance, I saw several people under one of the trees. And as we got closer, I realized it was my mom, and there were these two young ladies sitting with her that were like late teens, early 20s looking. And Jesus said, "These are your girls."
Wow.
And when I was pregnant, we only thought it was one. And so we kind of joked and called her Matilda. It was a joke name. And but he said we call her Maddie. We call her Maddie. And he said the other one is Ariel. We named her Ariel.
Nice name.
And because I had not named, And so, I got to spend time with my mom and them, hanging out for a little bit. So it's been pretty wonderful. And God has this wonderful way of doing it when you're expecting and when you really need.
That's awesome.
A month ago was the same. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Stephanie.
No, a month ago, I went through something very difficult, and that's again when God took to heaven. And I saw like a golden palace. My mom, she suffered quite a lot on earth. And there was this golden palace, and then she came down, and she had a white dress, and she looked young, like 30. And then she came down, and then I was like, oh my God, it's my mom. And then she just picked me up, and she took me in, and there was all these children and people, like all the relatives who have gone. And they were like far away waving, and then there was this beautiful chandeliers and whatever. And then my mom just said, "See you soon." And then I was a bit like, am I going to die? But it was like comforting.
Yeah.
And it gave me strength for the things I went through on earth after that. It gives you comfort. Because here we have 5 minutes, and then you are there. Kind of.
My husband went through the same sort of thing when he lost his mom. And he was having a really hard time at first. And just a couple days after she passed, he was engaging with Jesus and said, "Jesus, can I know the name of my mom, that you have for her?" And instead, Jesus brought him to his mom and had this great interaction and all of this. And it changed everything he didn't mourn. He didn't mourn anymore like a normal person mourns. And he has had a few interactions since then with her. And it's never been trying. It's always been just Jesus does it, And that has been what has really been phenomenal for me to understand. The Bible verse that says, we don't mourn as those who have no hope.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, now I really get it. Because before it's like, oh, this is so sad, but that's okay. We'll mourn with those who are mourning. And it's different when you see them and you can interact with them and realize that it isn't an end. It's really not an end. And that's different than how we think of it in the earth and how all of the cultures that we're a part of have always thought of death. It really is different anyway.
Everything's stranger than death.
Yeah. So I saw another person in here. Who was this? Darlene said the other day a university student mentioned his mom dying. I asked him if he has forgiven her, as he told me she was mean to him. He looked clueless, so I took him to a private area and shared with him a bit more. I helped him to forgive his mom and release her that day. That's so cool. A lot of people don't even understand that they can go and do that stuff with people even after they've passed. You know, it's like, oh crap, I should have done that, you know. Anyway, that's cool. Also, I see, excuse me, I'm tickling my throat. JD said, if anyone wants to engage during the weekends, Christine won't be around. Please keep in mind me. I want to engage the course concerning marriages. Okay, so I had talked about in April, I'm going to go see Camille up there. We're doing a retreat that she's going to start putting on, these awesome retreats for women only. Sorry, Will, no men. But women only, to come and really have a whole mind, body, spirit healing time. And so anyway, I'm excited to go and get to partner with her in that and get some refreshing.
Where is that?
What?
Where is that?
It's April, what is it, Camille? I don't know. I can't read your lips. Okay. Yeah, so it's like I'm leaving the 11th, come back the 14th. So the 14th will be the day that we don't have this normal group that I'm leading. But JD, since you said that, you are now the leader. How's that?
Where is Camille located?
In Fresno, California area.
Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You know, there's a conference coming up there for Nancy Cohen in Sacramento.
Yes. And also Mike Parsons is coming to Sacramento as well. And he's going to that one, I know. I think it's the week following the retreat, isn't it? Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Cool.
Yeah, so many cool people. How come nobody comes to Kansas? That's not true. Mike did come one time.
They're afraid of the tornado.
Everyone's afraid of tornadoes. I know. I'm like, hello. We're not going to get killed by a tornado.
Not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy.
I know. There's no place like home, remember? Y'all need to come here. Okay, so, Connie said, I'll be en route to Florida that Sunday, too. Yes, Darlene said, I need to move back to the U.S. So much there. We welcome you, Darlene. We welcome you to the United States. Please come here. Don't keep all the awesome in Canada, okay?
I'm going to add that Mike Parsons is coming to Greenville, South Carolina.
Yeah.
When is that? When does he coming?
April. He's doing a thing, Florida, Orlando, Florida, then South Carolina, then Sacramento.
Okay.
Yeah, but in August we're gonna host him here in Chattanooga.
Wow.
Oh, good.
Will,
wow.
I'm tired of not getting an invitation. Okay.
Well, come on.
One of these days, you got to invite me over.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. That'll be fun. Cool. Okay, so Darlene said, I lived in California for 5 years and then Washington, but moved back to Canada in 2001. Well, all right. Come back for a while. That'd be cool. Only if God says. I don't want you here if you're not supposed to be. That'll just be devastation. But hopefully he'll say, so you can ask. Anyway. All right. Well, how about let's engage in heaven together, shall we?
Yeah, I guess it's about that time.
It is. I'm going to turn off my video. You guys can do whatever you want. JD says, hooray. I hope that hooray was to you leading this little get together. You can just hop on this meeting. You won't be able to mute people out or anything, but they can mute themselves out. So anyway, just hop on the same channel if you want, even if I'm gone, and then you guys can still engage together and stuff. All right. Okay, well, let's just focus our hearts and our minds on the Lord and see what he does with us. Oh, thank you, Jesus, for always welcoming us. And I see that you have your hand out to us now. So we take your hand and we want to go wherever you want us to go and experience whatever you want for us. Oh, thank you for covering this whole experience in your blood.
I'm going to be through you.
Thank you.
I mute myself.
I see him leading me anyway into, it's kind of into the side of the mountain of the Lord. And it's in the side of Mount Zion and in this cave. And inside of this cave, there are some writings and stuff. And if we go further, I know this is where it leads into the New Jerusalem. And so, anyway, I don't know if anyone is seeing any of this too, but it's like when I am looking at the cave, it's like gold kind of starts, but isn't completely taken over the cave on the walls. And then it just gets more and more gold as we go along until we're actually in the city. This is really interesting. I guess probably everyone else knows this, but I've always kind of wondered where all of the cloud of witnesses, where they live. And I see that this is where they live, which I should have put 2 and 2 together, but I didn't. Please, by the way, put in the chat box whatever you're experiencing so we can encourage each other too. I saw this lady grab my hand and she was so happy and just started, she was like skipping and wanted to show me, was so excited to show me in her house. And so she was taking me down this road and it kind of did look like Greece, like except for everything is gold. And so like I see these gold bricks on the ground going in between the buildings. And anyway, she brought me into her house and wanted me to sit at the table, but the table's like on the floor, kind of, you know, without chairs. And she was making me this bread, or maybe it was already made, I guess, I don't know, but was serving me this bread. But I was really surprised at how even the bread was gold. But it's not like hard. You can eat it just like normal bread. Wow, it's really wild. I feel like it's, just releasing light into me. Oh, thank you, Lord. Lisa said, I keep hearing the word Shekinah glory. Oh, thank you, Lord. And then Stephanie said, nice, I see big raindrops. I feel like everything is this kind of Shekinah glory, like the only reason it's so light and bright and gold and everything is because of that Shekinah glory, you know? And then Fair said, I'm seeing images like movie clips. Jesus is telling me that I'm going to have to run business for him. This is different. I'm seeing. Yay. That's awesome. So as I've been sitting in this house of this lady's, I don't even know her name. Oh, strange. Okay. Well, anyway, there was so much just love being shared, I guess. And it's like I was being able to be with her family too. It's in the same place. And then I saw these mats on the ground, and she goes, "It's okay, you can go over there and take a nap." And for some reason, like, you would never go take a nap at someone's house that you're visiting for the first time and all of that, but it just felt like such freedom, like such a pure love, that there was freedom to just go and take a nap and not feel guilty or anything like that. It's really cool. And Stephanie said, for Will and his wife, she sees God has enlarged their hearts to receive many children around them. Oh, cool. And then she said, my home is line that people come here and fall asleep. It's like that. That's cool. Lisa said, I am seeing arms coming down from the inside of this gold cave. It's an offer to take us higher. Reach out and grab a hand and let it pull you up wherever God will lead you. And then Fair said, I'm hearing, I'm going to restore what the enemy stole from you. And I see an image of me walking out of an area with a huge bag of jewels. Yes, Lord. Thank you.
A bag of jewels? That's really funny. A lot of kids around me. I am a Mickey Mouse. There are lots of babies around me.
You see large raindrops that release light.
That's cool. That's you?
Thank you.
As they hit us, they it's like this light is being absorbed into us.
Thank you. Stephanie said, I see Jesus giving the golden key. Fair said, thank you, Lord. You guys, I get there's some sort of key here, but not in the same kind of key that Stephanie's talking about. But it's like I'm being shown that when we engage here with the golden light, Shekinah, all of this stuff, right? That this is the key to living and not dying. And this is how everyone is living there. It's just this constant basking in the glory of God and living there and having that fullness all the time and consuming it and having it fall on us like these drops and everything, that's what transforms us. Thank you, Lord. Stephanie said, for someone, I see a drill, God will open ears. Thank you. I saw a couple people were just taken up in these big hot air balloons and taken way above, like not in the city of gold, not in that, just up. I don't know exactly which realm it is I'm seeing in, but I think it might be the kingdom of heaven. Well, this is all kind of the kingdom of heaven, the realm of heaven, I should say. Thank you, Lord. JD said, I'm seeing some giant steps. I sense some of us will be taking some huge steps in this season. Fair said yes. Then Darlene said, I was briefly flying over a place with a sunny climate, but got distracted and it stopped. Darlene said it had a sense of joy. I am seeing that some people will be taking really giant steps, and it has to do with some sort of plants and stuff that they're just, I don't know if it has to do with growing plants, selling these things, whatever it is, but it seems like a really giant step of faith that God is asking us to do. And so, thank you, Lord. Stephanie said, was wondering last week when I fell in bed again, it has been all winter. Will I ever live? And Jesus said, you will live to the fullest. Yes. Fair said, I see myself walking behind the Lion of Judah. Then I turned into a lioness. Jesus said, I need you to be a leader. Yes, Lord.
That's good.
JD said there's a whirlwind that's going to capture some of us and thrust us into our next assignments.
Quickly, then maybe.
And then Camille said, I'm standing in what's like mist for a while, then a bright light shining on my face. The Father said, glory, glory, glory. Stephanie said, wow. Darlene, yes, please, Lord. Stephanie said, I'm waiting to go to Greece in May. JD said, I hear, don't resist it, nor go against it. Connie said, yes, I saw myself wrapped up with Jesus in a whirlwind. Thank you, Lord. Stephanie said, God's transitioning. People see a wind behind them. JD said, some of us have been taking baby steps. I hear it's time to put on your boots and take some big steps. Good word. Good word for me. Fair said, JD, you're right. Darlene said, it may have been Greece or a place with a sunny disposition that I was flying over. It was a different landscape from here for sure. JD said, I hear elevation for you, Christine. Thank you, JD. Thank you, Lord. Fair said, I see myself throwing a spear, practicing hitting a mark, and I have the angels behind me. Thank you. Darlene says, when the words or images come, take it and make it yours. Thank you, Lord. JD said, I also hear, be aware of confusion that will try to enter into your circle. Thank you, Lord. Stephanie said, see an arrow pulled back and taking strength, a shooting, hitting the mark. JD said, I hear you are my slingshots. Darlene said, David's slingshot killed Goliath. Stephanie said, see white veil and pink roses. JD said, amen, Darlene. Thank you for the reminder. Stephanie said, see someone widowed black veil and then turns to white and joyful marriage with balloons. Fair said, I'm seeing in the spirit and I see a huge angel about 20 to 30 feet running to me, and he stopped on a dime in front of me. I think he's assigned to me now. I think he's a warrior because I'm not getting an overly friendly vibes. This is different. And then Darlene said, marriage for someone. I received that, Stephanie. Stephanie said, yes. JD said, marriage. I received that. It's this year. In this year, maybe. Fair said, I received marriage for me too. Thank you, Lord. And then JD said, I am roses being given to all of us. As I received mine, it turned into multicolored. And then Stephanie says, pink roses for the bride. JD said, it started talking to me. Stephanie said, wow. Thank you, Father, for showing us your glory and letting us experience it. We want so much more. We receive all that you have for us, and we don't want to say no to any of it. And so all that you have for us, please continue to pour into us. And thank you, Jesus, for being so loving and guiding us and showing us our worth even. Holy Spirit, thank you for always drawing us close to each other and comforting us and letting us have confirmations all the time. It's so refreshing. Oh, we love you and we want to honor you, God, with everything that we have. Thank you, Lord. Amen. Aaron Michael said, I was just handed an armful of what we call Aaron Michael roses. That's awesome. Cool. All right, guys, I love y'all. I will catch you on the flip side. Okay. Oh, look. Will said Mike Parsons tour. Here we go. Awesome. Thank you. Everybody click on it now before I click to close the meeting. If you can. All right. Okay. All right. Well, I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you, everyone, for contributing and really setting everything up for a great engaging time, too. Have a good one. Bye, y'all.
Yeah. Thanks, Christine.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Love y'all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.